18. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Ms. Casaubon? Mr. Lauren? Ms. Parker? Mr. Richard? Mr. Willie? Mr. Davis?
Here?
Mr. Baggert? Mr. Fitzmaurice? Mr. Doherty? Mr. Drum? Mr. Randolph? Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Please turn off all phones and pages. If you'd like to appeal the decision of this commission, we have appeal cards up here. And we also have speaker cards in case you want to talk about one of the cases tonight. If you intend on speaking, we have 10 minutes for each side and 5 minutes for a rebuttal. Am I looking at an old one? That's an old one. Sorry. Okay, let's see. Please stand for the invocation by Commissioner Randolph and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Willie.
Heavenly Father, once again we come to you to say thank you, Lord, for all the blessings you bestowed on our lives. You've watched over and protected us all day, and to this very moment in time, you've exhibited your grace and mercy upon each and every one of us. Lord, we ask that you continue to bless this commission, bless our families, bless our homes. Lord, we bless this government, Heavenly Father, and the employees of this parish. And Heavenly Father, of special blessing and prayer upon Ms. Park, our fellow commissioner's mom, and her family. In all these blessings, we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have the commissioners had a chance to review the minutes and have any concerns or comments about them? Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Randolph makes a motion to approve. Commissioner Lauren.
I'll second that as amended or corrected.
As corrected, that's correct. We have a motion by Commissioner Randolph and a second by Commissioner Lauren. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, under request for postponements, any requests for postponements? None. Okay. No entering parish right-of-ways, no revocation reviews. Under minor subdivision review, 2019-1454 MSP, a minor subdivision of parcel B being 23.717 acres into parcels B1 and B2. The owner is Marion Reeling. The surveyor is John G. Cummings and Associates. The parish council district representative is Honorable David Fitzgerald. Its location is on the east side of LA Highway 1081, north of Rogers Hill Road, being 77560 LA Highway 1081, Covington, Louisiana, Ward 2, District 2. Staff?
Parcel B was originally part of a minor subdivision approved in March 2011. For this reason, a public hearing is required. Also, parcel B2 does not continuously meet the minimum lot frontage of 300 feet required under the A1 Suburban Zoning District designation, and it requires a waiver of the regulation by the Public Planning Commission. Staff has no objection to the request and would like to request to have the minor subdivision number to be added to the survey if in the event that it is approved.
Thank you. Is the representative or the person applying for the minor subdivision here for discussion? Would you like to come up and speak? No, you don't need to. Okay. All right. That's a good answer. No, you don't need to. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this subdivision or against? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this, I guess, would go to the owner. The access to Highway 1081 from parcel B1, is that going to be on that 37.72 right-of-way?
You will have to come up to the front now, ma'am. Sorry.
I'm not going to let you Be
No,
nice
that's
and
okay.
sit.
Your name and address, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Cerniglia, 84254 Press Sharp Road, Bush, Louisiana, 70431.
Okay.
Did you understand what I was asking?
I'm sorry, could you ask it again?
Sure. On partial B1, I'm not sure how you're gonna get to 1088. 1081, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna get through that 37 point, you're gonna have a working agreement between B1 and B2, the owners?
It's part of B1.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll put a motion on the floor to approve
With the waiver?
with the waivers.
Thank
I have a
you.
motion to approve with the waiver by Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any more discussion? If not, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. No petition waiver requests, re-subdivision reviews, no dormant subdivision reviews, tentative subdivision review. 2019-1354 TP. Bellevue Estates developer owner is H&I Investments. The engineer is Kelly McHugh and Associates. Parish Council District is a representative Honorable Jacob Groby, excuse me. Its location is on the south side of Hoffman Road, east of LA Highway 59, Abita Springs, Ward 4, District 7. Staff?
Yes, sir. The tentative plan has been reviewed by this office. An inspection was made of the site on April 30th, 2019. It is recommended that the tentative submittal be approved, subject to the following. Number one, a complete revised traffic impact analysis needs to be provided showing the increase in the number of lots. Number two, written approval from the owner of the gas line right-of-way allowing the roadway to cross will be required when submitting for preliminary approval. Number three, a waiver of the minimum lot frontage requirement is required for lots number 40 and 41, which must be granted, or the lot configuration revised to meet the minimum requirements. In order to approve the waiver request, a 2/3 majority vote of the full membership of the commission is needed pursuant to Section 125, 224, waiver of regulations of Chapter 125. Parish Code requires a land clearing permit be applied for and obtained through the Department of Planning prior to the developer receiving a work order in conjunction with the preliminary subdivision review process.
Thank you. Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of H&I Investments. If you'll recall, this case was presented to you back in February for tentative. As you'll see on your staff comments before you, it's being resubmitted. So you've seen it once before. After the approval in February, as is typically the case, we undertook the necessary engineering work to prepare for preliminary. In doing that, we had a good topo of the site. We had a lot of other engineering work done. As a result of that, and in preparing for preliminary, it was determined that the pond sizes that were shown on our original tentative were in excess of what was needed. As a result of that, we were able to revise the layout a little bit by reducing those ponds to the size needed to comply with your drainage ordinances. And so what you see before you is a layout that is largely the same, but with some minor modifications with the shrinking of those ponds. In doing so, we were able to add some additional lots. However, at the 88, we're still well below the 113, which would be allowed for this type zoning. In regards to the staff's comments, item 1, the traffic impact analysis has been revised. It was submitted on April 30th, and there was no change to the conclusions in that study. We have requested written approval from the gas company that has the line that runs through the property. We expect to have that by the time we come to you for preliminary. We understand it's a requirement, and we will comply with same. With regards to item number 3, this is one of the requests that you all see often. In fact, the original plan, we had 3 lots, if you'll recall, that had this front footage issue. We've reduced that down to 2, lots 40 and 41. We would request a waiver of those lots. First, we did try to redesign the layout, but In doing that, it was a bit of a domino effect, and we had issues with the width needed to get into the green space to maintain the pond and a number of other issues, and ultimately, we were not able to redesign to get the required frontage. However, if you will look at the plan, you'll see that both Lot 40 and 41 are considerably larger than the standard lots in the development. In fact, they're about 30% larger. So while they are more narrower at the street, they open up. And in fact, the building sites are larger than what you have on most of the other lots within the development. So we would respectfully request a waiver of the front foot requirement on lots 40 and 41 as set forth in the staff comments and in accordance with my explanation. But otherwise, we would request your approval in accordance with the staff comments this evening for Bellevue Estates.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this tentative subdivision review? Anyone?
I'd like to say something that's not really in favor.
Is this in favor or is this against?
It's just some concerns.
Okay, come on up. Your name and address, please.
My name's Vicki Vaughn, and I live at 22559 Hoffman Road, which is at the end of where they're proposing to put this subdivision. I just noticed the sign, and so I just wanted to come and speak. I have concerns because I've lived there now for 13 years, and I know that this subdivision will be at the top of the street, and I'm at the back, but it does impact us with drainage. We've already fought some rezoning because of the drainage. It's gotten better, and if the council can, put in place that they continue keeping up with getting rid of the beaver dams and dredging what they have to do, then that may be okay. But also, there's a concern with getting out of my street. Because of Highway 59 only having lights close to the interstate, there is no break. And sometimes between the hours in the morning going to work or in the afternoons around 5, it's really hard to get out. Robert has the same concern, a lot of the streets along there. There needs to be some type of break. And this is going to impact us trying to exit 59. I'm not opposed to development, but I think that it needs to be, well thought out so that it doesn't impact the people that are already living there. The area that I am in, we've had some water issues. So I just appreciate you considering all that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul, would you like to respond to that? Maybe something with the traffic plan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with regards to both of Ms. Vaughn's primary concerns, just drainage, obviously the commission knows, in fairness to Ms. Vaughn, she probably doesn't know that that is the major issue at the next step. But if you will recall, we did take a look at some of that, and we're in a position to be able to come back to you soon. So we have a lot of data. And with Ms. Vaughn being at the back of the street, I can tell her and tell you, and I believe that our hydrological report will bear this out when we come back to you at preliminary, but our water will not be going that direction. We abut the trace, which acts a bit of as a dam, and so our water will not be going back to the east. It'll be going to the south and to the west. And of course, we'll be able to demonstrate that to the satisfactory, I believe, of your staff before we come back to you. And if I'm mistaken in that, then we'll have the details, though, to give you the information so that you can look at that and examine that. But we are cognizant of her concerns and of the concerns of the parish about making sure that the drainage works properly in this area and doesn't have a negative impact on any of our neighbors. With regards to traffic, we did perform the traffic impact analysis that's required, and the level of service at the intersection of Hoffman and Highway 59, I don't believe changed. It's been a while since I looked at that, but there were no required improvements at that intersection. And so while we are going to be adding some additional cars there, there was not a change in the level of service there. However, As you well know, part of the parish ordinances is that we have to contribute to the impact fees of not only the drainage in the area, but also the traffic. So those funds will go into a pool so that they can be used with other developments that may come online to address global issues like what we see along Highway 59, whether it's north of the interstate or south. We know on the south that there are some roundabouts that are planned. It would be my belief that ultimately, once those are done, there will be some focus on the north side and some things that happen there, whether it's at Harrison and 59 or further south in this stretch. But our impact fees can be used for whatever is necessary to help address the future needs along Highway 59.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion on this matter from the public? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Baggert.
I would like to move for approval of tentative, subject to the general comments of the staff.
Okay, with the waiver? of
With the
lot?
waiver.
Okay, I have a motion to approve with the waiver. Commissioner Randolph.
Yes, Paul.
Yes, sir.
Item number 2, the gas company, and staff may be able to help with this as well. We pass this tonight, how will we know, or how will the staff know that the gas company has come through with the approval?
We will, when we get to the point of being able to request our work order, one of the checklist items that your staff will have, we will have to produce that written approval to them. So before we will be able to get a work order to put in the infrastructure, they'll have to have in their file a written authorization from the gas company that allows us to cross that line.
Okay. And with that question being answered, I'd like to second Mr. Baggert's motion.
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Loring.
Paul, while you're there,
Yes, sir.
just a quick question. The revised number of lots is 88. How does that compare to the prior number?
The original was 81, so there's 7 additional lots.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, I didn't see anything in the in the covenants about who's going to maintain green spaces and the dry ponds. Is there going to be a homeowners association? How are they going to be taken care of?
The green space areas will be taken care of by the homeowners association. The ponds, though, themselves, I believe are going to be taken care of by the parish. I'm looking to your engineers to make sure that I'm correct about that, but I believe that we had enough width around the edge of the ponds that we could meet the parish requirements for maintenance. So I believe the intent is for the general green space to be taken care of by the association, but the ponds themselves by the parish.
These are going to be dry ponds.
Yes, yes, I believe the intent is to be dry ponds, and we will have a detailed set of restrictive covenants over and above what you see here that will provide for the maintenance of whatever is the responsibility of the association.
Okay. All right.
Whether that is the ponds ultimately, or whether it's just the green space outside of those ponds.
Okay, staff, do you know?
Currently, it's indicated that it's going to be maintained by St. Tammany Parish, but it'll depend on the roadway requirements and stuff. As we get to preliminary, that's another item that could change depending on what they're willing to do and
Okay.
coming into
All right.
compliance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Drum.
I actually have a question for legal. Since there is a gas line that's running in front of a number of houses, and I'm asking this because I really don't know, is the parish or the subdivision, the developer obligated to let people know that they've got natural gas or whatever kind of gas running in front of their house?
You know, I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if anyone in staff does. I can certainly research it for you.
Would you know, Paul?
Well, I could add a couple of things to that. One, we obviously have to note it on the subdivision plat, so it will be on the plat, which is going to be recorded. Typically, there is signage at the gas line right of way. You often see small bollards that say, this is a gas line, to notify people with regards to digging and things of that nature. So typically there is signage there by the gas company where there is an intersection with a roadway. So I would expect that would be the case in this location as well.
So would there be a sign in front of somebody's house saying there's a gas line here?
Not in front of somebody's house. It would be there's nothing, there will be nothing built over the gas line other than the roadway. And so on the side of the road, which would be similar to a street sign, there would typically be a sign that would say this is a gas right-of-way. It will look like a green space strip as you drive down the roadway. So you'll have houses on each side, and then green space down the middle, which would have that sign typically.
The only reason I'm asking is because if you remember about a month and a half ago, they had houses just blowing up on the East Coast, and nobody knew that they had major problems there. So I'm just concerned about the citizenry.
Right. No, I think it's a good question. And so I think, my answer is that I think you will have signage there. I think the gas company is going to have signage there. Yes.
Is there any more correspondence on this matter? If not, I have a motion by Commissioner Baggert with the waiver and a second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote. This is for tentative subdivision.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under preliminary subdivision review, we have 2019-1448 PP, Lakeshore Villages Phase 5. Developer owner is D.R. Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast. Engineer surveyor is Duplantis Design Group, PC, Acadia Land Surveying, LLC. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Michelle Blanchard. The general location is north of Oak Harbor Boulevard, west of LA Highway 433, east of Interstate 10, Slidell, Louisiana, Ward 9, District 13. Staff's comments, please.
Yes, sir. The preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office, and an inspection was made of the site on April 30th, 2019. It is recommended that preliminary submittal be approved, subject to the following. Number one, plans and specifications on the water and sewer plan for the construction of the project's water distribution lines and sewer collection lines have not yet been approved by Louisiana Department of Health. Number two, remove stop sign for the eastbound traffic at the intersection of Banksview Street and Cascade Cross Court. Number three, provide completed and signed St. Tammany Parish stormwater agreement for this development. No funded maintenance obligation is required since this is a community development district owned and maintained subdivision. No mandatory developmental fee is required at final submittal in accordance with St. Tammany Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 125, since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005.
Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone again, this time on behalf of D.H. Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast. Lakeshore Villages Phase 5, another phase within the Lakeshore development. As you will see, the staff comments are minimal. Just to run through those with regards to the water distribution lines and sewer collection lines, they have been submitted to DHH. We're simply waiting on their comments. Mr. Buckle, engineer, tells me that we expect to have that very soon. With regards to item number 2, we have already complied with that and have removed the stop sign. With regards to item number 3, we will comply with this. To comply with this, we have to have our contractor in place, and we're in the process of getting that contractor in place. But as soon as we have chosen the contractor, then we'll be in a position to comply, and certainly we recognize we have to comply with it before work order. So with that being said, we would respectfully request your approval of Lakeshore Villages Phase 5 preliminary subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience want to speak in favor or against this preliminary subdivision review? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Lauren.
Thank you. This is really a question for the staff. Could you give me the rationale about the reason for removing the stop sign? I know in our subdivision, we have an intersection very similar to this, and we had to put up a stop sign.
Originally, it was considered an all-way stop, and during the back and forth revisions that we do with the preliminary plan, one of the stop signs removed, leaving just 2 stop signs at a 3-way intersection. The second stop sign just wasn't removed, so you're gonna have 2 legs of your intersection stopping and 1 going. It's not conducive to correct traffic flow. So we removed the second one to allow the minor street to stop while the major street can keep going.
But there will be one stop sign, for
Correct.
instance,
Correct.
from,
The major street will keep going through and the side street will stop.
okay, that, it wasn't clear to me. It looked like you were doing away with stop signs.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
With that, I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lauren. Commissioner Randolph.
Second?
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, sir. Paul, on these community development districts, as far as maintenance of green space and any other things that normally homeowners associations would take up, how does that work under the community development district?
That's a good question, and I wish Mr. Shane was here to answer that for you, to be honest with you, but I'm going to take a stab at it. And I'm going to look to Mr. Buckle to correct me if he thinks that I'm misstating this. I believe that with regards to the general green space, this will work as most subdivisions do, in that the general green space will be taken care of by the association through the dues collected from the members. What is different about this development with the community development district really is the infrastructure, where you would typically have these streets either retained and maintained by the HOA or dedicated and maintained by the parish. You have a third entity here, and that's this district. And it is that district that will maintain the infrastructure, not the green space, but the infrastructure.
And how long will
Sound
that
good?
district be in place?
I think in perpetuity.
Okay, all right. Just as long as it is. It's not a 5-year deal.
Understood.
Thank you.
Understood. Mr. Buckle was saying the district is funded through a millage, which is part of the property taxes of the people in the district. So it will be maintained going forward.
Commissioner Baggert.
Yeah, I know this is a phase 5. I don't see any retention. I'm assuming there's retention ponds somewhere in the development that's not in this
Yes, sir.
phase?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there any more discussion? If not, I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lauren with a second by Commissioner Randolph for a preliminary subdivision review. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. There's no final subdivision reviews, no amendments to Chapter 125. Under old business, we have 2018-1106 PP, Lakeshore Villages Phase 4A. Waivers request for minimum driveway requirement on Lot 674. Developer owner is D.R. Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast. Engineer surveyor is the Planets Design Group, PC Acadia Land Surveying LLC. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Michelle Blanchard. Its location is again north on Oak Harbor Boulevard, west of LA Highway 433, east of Interstate 10, Slidell, Louisiana, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
Yes, sir. The developer has requested that Lot 674 be granted a waiver of Section 125-214 of the Parish Code that prohibits driveways from being any closer than 60 feet from a corner of the property line.
Okay. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Paul Marone, on behalf of D.R. Horton. If you will look in your packet, I think you will see a letter by Ms. Sanji from DDG, along with a sketch that illustrates our request and our position. There is a 60-foot requirement from the corner. We are actually about 58 feet from the corner, so we're about 2 feet short. But we're 71 feet from the adjacent back of the curb. So we are, I would submit to you a insignificant amount off of the requirement. And in fact, when we look at where we are from the curb itself, we're well back beyond the 60 feet. we would respectfully request your approval of the waiver to 57 feet, which at 58 feet, we would be in compliance. Be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have.
Anybody in the audience want to discuss this waiver? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Hall?
Yes.
The letter says that the closest driveway in relations to that adjacent right-of-way is 58 feet, but this property, you're requesting a waiver for lot 674 to be 57 feet, not 58, right?
Right, that's correct. We're requesting to reduce the distance between the right-of-way intersection to 57 feet. So at the approximately 58 feet that we'll be in compliance with that.
Okay. A motion to approve with the waiver?
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Randolph with the waiver. Commissioner Darty.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Darty. Any more discussion? If not, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under new business, the chair has some new business. Tonight will be my last meeting with the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's been a pleasure for the last 12 years to be up on this commission. The reason that I have to resign my position is because I intend on seeking the Council District 7 position in the upcoming election, and our bylaws won't allow me to stay after I declare this. So that's why I'm leaving. But before I go, I'd just like to say it has really been my pleasure to work with the public over these last few years and learn all your different ideas and desires and hopes, and also your complaints, to be honest, and to act on that. So I really appreciate that a lot. For our planning staff, excellent work, excellent work. You guys don't get credit for all that. I mean, just from the amount of work that I do just reviewing these cases, you know, I know by doing this 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it's got to be very tedious work. You've done an excellent job, Helen, and of course, all of the rest of your staff as well. This includes legal. This also includes Shelby and Leslie. I appreciate it. You guys are like family to me. Finally, the commissioners. A lot of the commissioners here on board have been with me since the whole time. Martha, thank you. You know, your educational background is supreme to this board, you know, and everybody seems to have a different diversity here, and I think that's one of the reasons I think we all get along together. Pug is basically the hunter of the group. He can seek out something and track it down and find out what to do. You know, it's been a pleasure. I haven't dealt too much with the other young lady who just joined our staff, Ms. Parker, but I'm sure, you know, once you start learning the ropes and everything like this, the rest of the commissioners will probably let you talk. To Mr. Richard, what a great business mind. I mean, just Mr. Richard and a parliamentarian, it's been a pleasure working with you as well. Commissioner Willie's been up here probably as long as Commissioner Casabon, and his background and stuff has been appreciative, especially his soft demeanor in which he talks to people. He can calm them down and get right to the point of the matter. So I appreciate that as well. Again, Shelby, excellent. The legal, excellent. Mr. Randolph. Mr. Randolph started a couple of years ago with us, and if I had to vote on anybody who's most improved, it's you. No, and we appreciate your faith, and we appreciate your dedication in this job. Thank you. Mr. Drum, we appreciate, no. Mr. Drum, we appreciate you too as well, especially your great sense of humor. And also that gung-ho attitude to go in there and charge, you know? I like that. That's very good. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and talk to Mr. Baggett, who has probably the most experience in all of us. He's been a councilman and stuff. Appreciate working with you. Mr. Fitzmaurice. Mr. Fitzmaurice, another good business mind to work with and developer. Thank you very much for being on this commission. It's been a pleasure. Finally, and not last leastly, I guess you could say, is Commissioner Doherty, who's basically been a lot to me, because he's been my mentor over the years. He's helped me with a lot of information and stuff like that. I cannot leave you in a better hand than our vice chairman right here. So with that being said, I'd like to say to everybody, you've added value to my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?